Hello, everyone, and welcome to this little impromptu stream. Yeah, just me, having a little look at things and just having a little test out of my streaming software. Nothing amazing, and it'll just be for a couple of hours, but yeah, hopefully it'll be fairly enjoyable. Going to take a look at a few different things. There's Tata Steel, of course, the Masters and the Challengers. There's also the CCC on chess.com, which is the 10+3 rapid tournament. So they're starting to do the preliminaries for that. And there's also the TCC, which would have been the Swiss, but there's a bit of a break because of a hardware problem. So they're doing actually quite an interesting bonus, which is, I think, I'm guessing, but I think it looks like playing out table-based positions, but without the table bases for the engines. So they're just having to see how well they play them, which is quite an interesting little thing. Hey, Lemmings player, nice to see you again. So let's not waste any more time and take a look at the games in Tata Steel. Always nice when you come to the opening. So let's have a look. This looks like a slightly weird little thing. I would never have guessed that it was this line. I was guessing at some sort of Nimzo Queen C2 or some sort of Bogo or Queen's Indian, but I hadn't really thought it would ever be this. But well, we'll see how it goes. So this is Knight F3. Oh, let me just take off the lines, the evaluation there. Not particularly interested in the accuracy either, to be honest. But anyway, Knight F3. D5, Knight C3, and Knight BD7. So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different Queen's Gambit declined lines. Bishop B4 was a line I got very interested in, partly actually because of there was a book by Richard Pert, who looked in a lot of depth at the Ragozin. And yeah, I mean, it was actually a very, very, very good book indeed, and gave me quite a lot of enthusiasm for the opening. And actually, Bishop B4, this was Alpha Zero favourite and a big favourite of the engines for quite a long time. I think nowadays C5 is quite a big favourite of the engines if you want to just make a draw. Obviously, not that easy for human players, but for engines. But Knight BD7 is another very interesting line. And, you know, in a number of cases, it does transpose into Bishop B4 because the bishop comes to B4. You could even transpose to semi-Slavs or stuff like that as well. We've got D takes C4 ideas, quite flexible. So, yeah, I mean, one idea is just to take on D5 and play some sort of Carlsbad structure where black's already put the knight on D7. It's not that bad, but it's possible. But, yeah, they've been trying all sorts of things. So here, Bishop F4, and now this move, Bishop B4. Oh, glad you like the Pirtz series, Lemmings player. Yeah, I mean they're more fighting variations indeed. You know, I mean they're slightly you know, 4 Bishop E7 is really you know, super solid. 4 Bishop B4, yeah, it had a reputation before of being less solid, but it's actually very, very solid. And but yeah, still some chances for some sharp lines. And yeah, Knight BD7 as well is just tweaking the move order and giving some ideas. Hey, Zaur, good to see you on the stream. So after Bishop F4, Bishop B4, C takes D5. Yeah, Knight takes D5 caught me a little bit by surprise. I'm sure they've been playing E takes D5, haven't they? But Knight takes D5 looks quite sensible. So hitting the bishop on F4 and knight on C3. But after Bishop D2, you know, White's just threatening to play E2 to E4. And so Black plays Knight F6, and then this looks a lot more like a sort of a Nimzo Indian, and especially after this move Queen C2, then yeah, no, I mean that's the beauty of the Queen's Gambit declined Lemmings player, that you've actually got quite a few options with Black, and a lot of them transpose. You know, if White takes on D5, you take back with the E pawn, you've got a general structure that you can reach from many lines. So that's actually I think, you know, that's kind of the beauty of it's very nice to have systems like that where a small tweak of the move order and you're into something, you know, quite different, and that always makes it hard for opponents to prepare against you without you needing to play completely different variations. I did when I was playing, you know, quite a bit. I did the same with the French, in actual fact. The French, is, strange enough, has got loads of different options, you know, against For example, 3 knight c3 in the French. You can play the winner with bishop b4. You can play knight f6 for the classical, and that's got lots of different ideas. D takes c4 for a Rubinstein. It's really there's a lot of different possibilities, and if you've got enough of those, then when people need to prepare against you, they don't really know what you're ever going to play. So, it's and yeah, Queen's Gambit declined is very good for that too. So after Queen c2, Black played the move b6. And now we've got quite an exciting choice here. I mean, in the I don't know. I mean, at some stage in this sort of position, I was just looking to play g4 at every opportunity, and I mean, probably the essence doesn't really change of the Queen's Gambit declined. I think still a lot of what I wrote is still very relevant, the positional stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's been loads of discoveries, really, and especially in the lines like the Ragozin and Knight BD7, which I didn't really cover very much at all. They've had masses and masses of work. So yeah, I mean, I would say that a lot would change, certainly in terms of the non-4 bishop e7 variations. For bishop e7, there have been a few changes, but to be honest, it still looks pretty familiar, and still just as solid as it ever was. Yeah, I wouldn't have been amazed if Mamedyarov had been playing white to see g4, but what white did was play the move knight b5, which is really trying to exploit, the drawback to black setup, which is a little bit strange. So quite intriguing to think after bishop takes d2, knight takes d2, yeah, black's got to do something about this c7 pawn. And now the question is, what is that going to be? Now, yeah, I mean, you sort of say, the normal comment that you've made is of course not knight c5 because of knight d6 check. But yeah, I mean, it's always nowadays, in the engine world, you're still looking at stuff like this and saying, well, can I make this work? Because obviously something like knight c8, rook c8 might actually be quite decent for black. I mean, what's wrong? Okay, your king's on the e7, but pardon me, the rest of your development is good. So yeah, I mean, I think with with white, you'd be looking for something a little bit more sexy than just knight takes c8. I mean, you could play something like d takes c5, with the idea of, well, if b takes c5, I'll give my check and then come back to c4, which should be quite nice. Always got to watch out for ideas like castles. The engines play lots of these things. I'm guessing that c6 is too annoying, because we can do some chasing like this, but never say never somehow. Yeah, if d takes c5, knight takes c5. My idea really was sort of to play b4 here and just try and claim that this knight is going to get chased away. I mean, a6 might be an idea, just to chase this knight away, though. bc5, ab, e3, something like this. Could white claim a slight advantage somehow? Not 100% clear. I mean, I could go... Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, so I would write a completely different book nowadays. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, but I mean, the book, I was quite pleased with the book. It's got lots of positional guidance, especially on Carlsbad structure and also the Tata structures and a couple of other things. Also, quite typical IQP structures. So that sort of thing, I'd definitely like to keep in, but I just like more of it, basically. I'd have more and more of it in engine games as well. Yeah, I know. The books I'm writing nowadays, they're completely different to the books I wrote then. But yeah, I mean, look at the resources that you've got nowadays. It's, God, I would have killed for something like that in those days. I mean, I'm wondering whether we could play a move like knight dc4 here and just try and claim that that we're doing fine. I mean, yeah, I don't know. You sort of get interested, don't you, in b5? Oh, thank you, Jakob. Well, I mean, all of the games I look at, especially the engine games, are quite. Yeah, they're quite tricky for me too. So, but what I'm trying, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, might be worth taking a look if you're interested in my stuff, and but yeah, just let me put it in the chat. A bit of shameless self-promotion. I mean, I've got a blog, matthewsadler.me.uk, and what I'm aiming to do this year is so my videos, I see them as sort of medium complicated. Some variations, but I think obviously the video medium is a little bit easier. And before my books and also my my writings on my blog, they were sort of a bit more complicated than that. That was always the way I did it, but I've turned it around completely now. And basically, I'm trying to go variation free on everything I write from now on. So on my blog, I've got quite a bit of stuff on the pits and stuff like that at the moment. And yeah, I mean, basically, I think it's always general, a lot simpler, not too many variations, but yeah, really instructive as well. So yeah, if you're interested, if you like the stuff, and but you think, yeah, I'd like something a little bit more general, where it, really focusing on just on the ideas and not giving long variations or anything like that, then do take a look at my blog, because I'm making a big effort for that again, and I'm going to try some sort of. Yeah, thanks, Saul. Yeah, it's very nice to. I mean, the thing is, I do feel that we can learn a lot from engines, and you can sort of reflect on, okay, I think this, and the engines think this, but why? And in the good old days, you just say stupid engine, but nowadays, it's. And I think but you've got to do it in a good way. I mean, a lot of people tend to beat themselves up about, oh, the engine says that. I mean, and I don't know, it must be stupid, and that's completely wrong. I mean, it's there's never any hint of shame about analyzing stuff with engines. I mean, that's the beautiful thing, right? They're not judgmental or anything like that. They're just telling you, what they've calculated. So it's just very important just to reflect. And what you normally notice is that what you understand, what you've seen is perfectly good. It's not bad or anything, but it's missing a couple of details. Like you're expecting that the conflict should come very, very quickly. That was the thing in the Pertz thing, but actually it's going to take a lot longer. So putting your pieces on a bad square, expecting a quick conflict, yeah, that's not a good solution, because the conflict can be delayed, and then your piece is just on a bad square. So there's lots of things like that, and you can just draw general lessons from that. And certainly one general lesson that I've learned from engines, but I'm still learning and finding it hard to learn, is that my view of chess was too quick, really. And I noticed this, to be honest, playing against strong players as well, that I was always expecting stuff to happen very quickly, when actually the right rhythm was that it would take a little bit slower somehow. It's yeah, no, it's true. It's true. But I think, yeah, I mean, that's why playing engine games is nice in these things, because you just look at what they say at a certain move and you can be confused. But you see an engine game and you see the whole plan unfolding, and then you say, they were willing to put their pieces like this because they knew they had this break on the king side, which had never occurred to me. It's that. That's why I love playing these engine games. I mean, it's just the only way to analyze, to be honest. I mean, I can't imagine ever doing anything like that. Sorry, just getting a bit straight. I was wondering about something like this, and castle queenside, rook d1, e3, e4, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, c5 has actually happened. I mean, I was also wondering about whether black could simply castle and give away a pawn like that. Maybe not. c5, d takes c5. Yeah, now black's got to think of something. I mean, I'm guessing that black is thinking knight d5 here. I said my move castles is. I've seen a lot of engine ideas like this, but I can't. I don't know. I mean, I think you go b4, and then the question is whether you can get away with something like a6. But knight c3. This knight is trapped, so it's looking pretty ugly for me. So I'm guessing that that knight c5 is what you really want to do. And then b4, and then okay, let's say a6. That must be what black's intention is. I can't. Yeah, you're not going to go knight a6. That would be too horrible. So a6, and now what are we going to do? Obviously, if we just retreat, the knight retreats. So we're going to take, and now the question is, could I do something like, for example, e3? And yeah, I'm going to I'm threatening to take this pawn. This is feeling to me like engine line leads to a draw. You know, this is really feeling that way. But of course, you have to prove it all the time. But for example, you could go castles, and if bishop b5, I go queen d5, I guess, hitting and hitting there. That would probably be quite decent. Could go c6. But again, I'm not sure. Maybe queen d5 again, or something like that. Maybe not be stupid. I'm wondering whether should I go e4? Would that be possible? Because it takes away, you know, d5 basically. So if castles, I go here. I mean, there is queen d4 always, but maybe that's a less good square. I mean, what I was thinking of was after e4, queen d4 was what was. But there I've got bishop b5 with check, which can't be too bad. And if you go castles, bishop b5, queen d4, I was sort of thinking actually I can just go, I can't. I was thinking knight b3 here. I'd have bishop c6. I mean, I don't want c takes b6. Bishop c6, of course, is stronger. But yeah, no, here there's a queen b4 check, which is rather annoying. But maybe
2-1. Just scored again.
My goodness me, my dad's giving me the news that local team Maidstone is beating Ipswich in the FA Cup 2-1. My goodness, I think Ipswich, they're the big side. They had like 77% possession or something like that. But incredible, very exciting local event there. I mean, I could go castles. And if you go bc, then I could go knight b3 there, because this trick is going to work now. So queen c5 takes. I could go knight b3 again. This might be a bit of an irritating, or a4. This might be an irritating endgame for black. Yeah, I think it is an irritating endgame for black. So interesting. Interesting to see what Parham can do. I mean, he's taken with a knight on c5. So. Well, I'm expecting b4. I can't imagine any other move, to be honest. Yeah, so I'm imagining b4. But okay, let's leave that one behind, because there's quite a few other interesting things there, and we'll just go back to the main screen. This one's going to be quite interesting here. This is. Ali Reza against Jan Nepomniachtchi. So we get one knight c3 first move. Very nice, but quickly into a Jabava London system. Do you know, actually, I faced one knight c3 a while back, and I don't know, the guy played against me like, whoa, you know, I'm really on the edge here. I play unusual moves. You're going to be confused. So I replied with one knight h6 instantly. And won. So thank goodness that was part of the story. But in all fairness, the funny thing is that one knight h6 was actually my preparation. Not that I prepared for this game, but that was what I was playing at the time, because I lived in Holland for a very long time, from 1999 to 2017, and I was a member of the Amersfoort Chess Club, and there was a guy whose name I now forget, unfortunately. Quite a strong player, 2300, who he was before my time, but people remembered him, who was playing one knight h6 all the time. So I got hold of some games in the Kaiserber magazine, which I don't think it's running anymore. But it was a German magazine for crazy stuff, basically. And they had lots of his games with one knight h6. So so I played it and did fine with it, although not necessarily due to the opening. But the idea was to go g6 and f6 and knight f7 and play that way. We got some quite decent results with it. Anyway, knight c3. Jan didn't do that against Ali Reza, which I think is probably quite good. Yeah, who knows what? Well, d6, f6, knight f7. It was just one of those things. So d4, d5, bishop f4. Amazing that this line has become such a main line. Incredible, really. So yeah, Jan plays a very solid and not. Yeah, I mean, this is the solid line to play against the Jabava London system. There's an English junior called Stanley Badassoni. I think I'm pronouncing that not too appallingly. Very nice young guy. He's about 13, 14, and yeah, very good player. And Natasha and I got to know him actually during COVID, because he was playing a lot of online chess, like all the English juniors actually, but under the name of Stanbad. And just great fun. And we had him on a stream from time to time. Just very nice, really nice kid. But he was playing these lines Jabava London system all the time, and scoring very nicely. And it's a very nice, easy system to play. You just play h3, your castle, and you play g4, and off you go, really. And you do that in an awful lot of lines. I mean, the one thing, you tried against engines, and they just seem to, they don't seem to worry about your kingside attack, and your your king on the queen side ends up being vulnerable. But I mean, there's masses of theory, masses of analysis on it now. King comes to b1 here, just protecting the pawn on a2, and this knight can now move away to e2 if it gets hit by bishop b4. And it's ready to come out to c1 and b3 or d3 basically. And in the meantime, hey Evan, in the meantime, you can start pushing the pawns there. I mean, quite difficult things to handle for both sides, to be honest. It's very easy. I think it's very easy to take a wrong turning for both sides, actually. I mean, with white, you drew every time with Stan. Oh, that's not bad, actually. He's getting strong. I mean, actually, to be honest, there's a lot of English juniors who are getting strong. I mean, the big focus is, of course, on Shreyas, who's very close to GM strength, and of course Badana, who's incredible at the age of 8, and she's really strong as well. I mean, that is absolutely any attention she gets is thoroughly deserved. Oh, versus Sandy, who played Jabava London. But I mean, there are simply a lot of very good juniors who came up during the pandemic, and Stanley's one of them. He's got a brother called Frankie as well, and there's Supratit Banerjee. I think I'm getting the name right there, and Scottish junior. I think very strong as well, looking very good. Freddie Gordon, Scottish junior as well, who really very impressive as well. So. There's loads of good talent on the British Isles, not just England, British Isles, and just brilliant to see. You played all of them. It's I mean, it's absolutely brilliant to see. And really makes the the English chess scene a lot more living and a lot more lively. And I'm pretty sure that a number of those, we're definitely going to get international masters, and obviously, I think a number of them are going to become grandmasters as well, and would be really, really cool. And I mean, that's not even to talk about a lot of younger, young but slightly older players. The people like Harry Grieve won the British Championship, and Ravi Haria, and even Daniel Fernandez is not so young. There's Jonah Willow. I mean, there's loads of players. Marcus Harvey. As well. I can, I'm going to keep on thinking of names really, but there's a lot of players there who you really think, a lot of them are not going to be professionals or whatever, but you sort of say, if they could just find, half a year or a year just to, no, I'm going to go on to Max. There's quite a few of those players who are really, really good somehow. So, and half year or a year concentrating on chess, they could achieve an awful lot. So, let's hope they do that sometime. All righty. Max is G4. Let's have a look at this. That is wow. Okay, so this is one of the most boring lines ever. It's been played a lot by Kramnik, so that sort of indicates, that it's not the most exciting line. But there was a huge amount of interest in this line in the past. I mean, this Nimzovich bishop a6 is very nice. I mean, b3's had a huge amount of attention, but queen a4 has been another line. But Black's idea is the queen's been drawn out of position, so now we can play the move c5, and you won't be able to reply d5. So very interesting idea. But white was playing a line which, to be honest, sort of offends my classical principles, which is taking allowing black to capture towards the center and get well, you have the feeling somehow that he's got more pawns in the center. Well, he does. I mean, D and E pawn. But yeah, there's quite a bit of pressure on the D6 pawn. I mean, I spent quite a long time analyzing this, and quite tricky. Not easy, but at the end I sort of felt must be fine about it. But yeah, so rook d8 from Ding, rook d2, d6, rook d1. And now Ding played h6. These are quite common moves. Obviously, you want to develop this knight some stage, but you can't move it yet to d7 because of bishop takes d6, and you can't move it to c6 yet because of bishop d6 again. So you have to be careful. I mean, often you play the move a5 as well. Often you play bishop c6. All sorts of things. But basically, normally black can be a bit patient and not really worry too much. I mean, this move h6, can also prepare a couple of things. A move like g5, or even a move like knight c6, like e5, bishop e3, and then knight c6 to put it into d4. That's all possible. Now, yeah, I mean, quite a common move would be maybe to play h4 to deal with the threat of g5. But this move is simply incredible. If it was online, you would say that it's a mouse slip, right? I mean, g4. But it's not a mouse slip, I don't think. But what an idea. So what is the idea? Well, I'm guessing that the idea is that we can, so yeah, I mean g4 first of all. So the idea is that if the bishop gets chased away, it can come back to g3, which is quite nice. If you go e5 in this position, I'm thinking that you probably would go g5 here, maybe take and take, maybe something like knight d5. I mean, you've got to watch out for ideas like rook d6. Rook d6, rook d6, and queen e8 check, and some sort of brilliancy there. I guess that's not working, but yeah, be aware, as Bogdan Lalic always says. Yeah, and obviously if you went to g5, my bishop could retreat to g3. So obviously knight g4 is what you want to play. But what white does now is play this move queen b3, which is, yes, g4 is about preserving the scope of the dark square bishop, also threatening, g5 possibly. But yeah, tactically, the idea is that you're playing queen b3, and obviously you're attacking one of the defenders of the d6 pawn. So actually what you're threatening is to take on b6 and take on d6. That is your threat. And actually it's a little bit more. It's even a little bit more than that, because actually the queen is not only defending the pawn on d6, it's also defending the rook on d8. So if you play, yes, that's right, Lemmings player, that the knight on g4 now, it's not able to play knight e8. So if you were to play the move e5, for example, then I could take and go knight takes e5. Maybe I wouldn't take first. Maybe I'd go knight e5 first or whatever. But this is the the idea. Again, whether this is better for well, maybe it would be actually. I mean, takes, I'd just take here, and after take, I'm lining up on the d pawn. So I mean, that's an incredible idea, an amazing idea. Obviously, I believe that that the engines are quite responsible for maybe pointing this out. Let me just have a quick check to see which move. Which move is that? Is that for? Are you gonna? That's good. Okay, so h6. There we are. Let's. It hasn't come across very well on the chessable interface, but let's just have a look to see whether Stockfish has it as one of its top moves. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. There we are. Number 3 move. Let's see what Leela says. Yeah, I mean, Max is doing a great job, to be honest. I think he's doing his absolute best, giving everything in every game, and being very entertaining. Yeah, obviously, for a practical player, it's no consolation. When people say, "Oh, creative and all that," but I do think it should be both noticed and rewarded because let's face it, a tournament like Vacanze is absolutely gorgeous to watch. Everything, stuff happening all over the place, stuff you wouldn't expect. Way more interesting than any any tournament between the top 10, the world's complete top 10 or top 5 or whatever at any time control. I mean, it's just this is just way better. This is just real chess, simply. So yeah, there's players like it's different players of different strengths, players of different with different ideas who make tournaments like this worthwhile. So yeah, whatever his result, I'd definitely invite him back to a tournament. And I feel that he should be invited to a lot of tournaments because he's got absolutely the right attitude. And I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's I mean, what you do, obviously it's very hard to do and all that. But what you'd really want, you really would want to move to a system. Basically, you say, there's just so many strong players. You might as well move to a system where people get rewarded for creative play and fighting spirit rather than their actual, place on the world ranking. I think, Oh, Nordicbeck's just a beast, really. He's just really, really strong. He's incredible fighting spirit. I mean, he reminds me. I haven't analysed his games greatly, but the impression he gives to me is, sort of the toughness, fighting spirit of Kamsky, Korchnoi, that sort of player, really. So he's definitely going to be. I think he's going to be a world championship contender. He'll definitely get to a match, I think. Sometime he's just the right. I think the right temperament for it. I think probably the Indian guys are probably stronger chess wise. I think so. A little bit. There's at these exalted levels and all that, but he's already going to. He's definitely going to be in there in the mix. I think he was the guy I saw turn down a draw by repetition against Magnus in some sort of blitz event or World Championship blitz event, and you sort of saw that it was just very normal for him to consider that why wouldn't I beat the guy? And well, that's the sort of spirit that'll take you to world champion, basically. And normal mortals like us maybe don't quite have that. So G4 is actually Stockfish's second move and Leela's second move as well. So yeah, if Ding has looked at this recently, he could probably know it. But yeah, if he hasn't looked at it recently, then it could be a shock. What's interesting though, actually, is that let me just put the G4 is coming up in all sorts of lines. So we've got Queen B5, 98. Queen B5, 98, and then G4 afterwards. So Queen B5 is one line, 98, and then G4. Okay, but that's less thrilling. So G4, knight takes G4, but then actually the engines were saying knight B5, which is quite interesting. Hey, thanks, Daniel. But not a rook up. Well, that's good. Good to have standards, Lemmings player. I could easily lose it a rook up, I think. Certainly the blitz game. My goodness. So knight b5 is what the engines were recommending here. So queen b3 from Max might be an interesting little wrinkle there, just to do it. Sorry, chessable interface having to catch up there. But I'm glad the opening helped, Daniel. That's brilliant. It's a pretty cool line, I have to say. I was, I sort of saw it and said, "Oh God, engines doing their stuff." But yeah, actually, it's a pretty cool line, pretty sensible. And glad that turned out well. It's always nice to hear that opening stuff that you're doing is really helping people. That's cool. Thanks, Daniel. So what have we got here? So I think Stockfish has sort of died in the attempt here. So and Leela's not being particularly. This is an engine converting advantage. Yeah, that's always hard to do. Let me go back. I'll go back to here, and we'll try and let the interface catch up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, knight b5 was what Stockfish was recommending initially. So queen b3, but Ding played knight f6 pretty quickly, right? He took 21 minutes over knight g4 and played knight f6 in 6 minutes. I don't know. I don't think that he was thinking of queen b3, to be honest. And I think that knight f6 played quickly is just trying to sort of say, no, it's fine. I've seen it all. I wouldn't have. Yeah, queen b3 would not have been my thought at all. I have to say. But let's have a look. So what is White going to do here now? Well, in all fairness, if we're just looking at the good old standard stuff, then you might say, well, this is not going to be very much at all for White, is it? Absolutely zero in actual fact. But I am actually thinking that what we can do here is just to take on here straight away. Because if you go bishop d6, I'm going to chop a Rooney, takes. And if you go queen d6, and I've got queen b7, and if you go queen c6, I go, maybe not knight e5, because that might allow a clever little internet. Well, I mean, I could take on d7 after, but I just go knight e1, and that's just completely winning. So I think that this move, bishop d6, just wins. Well, no, it does win, but it's possible. You don't need to. Oh, yes, but this is not good. Because if, or is it good? So, there could be some nice variations here. But queen b3. So, would I throw in rook d8 check here? This is the question. King h7. I don't want to take the queen. I want to do something else, but I don't know what to do. So here, and then black could play knight d7 here. Could also play knight c6 as well. Now the question is, now, how deeply have you analyzed something like this? I mean, maybe you can analyze this very deeply and find some ways to give black some problems. For example, this pawn on here is weak, so we can go knight a4. You've maybe got to go knight d7. Can I do something clever? Knight e1 maybe? Oh, actually, how are you protecting that guy? Oh, that could be tricky. That would be tricky. That would be very unpleasant. And knight bd7. Well, I mean, we can go. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things I'm wondering about here. Maybe what we should do, you're right. This is something that could be done, but I think, what you want to do is you want to take on here first. I think we need to take, and then let's try and do this one. Let's just take like this and go knight bd7. That looks more, move order is important. And here the question is, do you have anything? Do you have any ideas here for White, or is it just a nice try but draw? Which is very often the case in opening theory. What ideas does White have here? Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, in all fairness, I could play a move like knight d2, because my rook's coming to a6 and I've got knight b5, and this knight on d2 is protecting the pawn on b3. It's definitely a sort of line that if you'd done a really, really serious job of analyzing it and done it really deeply, you could this could be quite irritating for black for quite some time, really. Yeah. Well, let's hope for Max's sake. Let's hope that he's done it. Although he's thinking now, isn't he? He's thinking. Yeah, no, we didn't. I just noted that that knight b5 was possible. Let me just let's have a look. Knight g4, and let's just hey, Abdul Rahman. Let's just have a little look to see whether we can get Stockfish working on there. And now let's do Leela. Yeah, engine's not amazingly. Oh, actually, maybe it was just not enough depth there. So knight b5, they're just thinking that you can just play knight c6 and then just give up the d pawn, take the b pawn, and you're sort of fine. So yeah, actually much of a muchness here. Oh, that's quite clever, but not easy to spot. Yeah, what they're saying is actually that where were we? Oh, yeah, they're saying, well, it seemed to be saying that knight f6 wasn't the very best line, but it'll probably transpose. Hey, Juan Jose, we'll see how that's going to end up looking. That's quite interesting somehow, isn't it? It really is quite interesting. But yeah, I think it looks basically like knight b5. They were just saying knight c6 here, and then we just sort of take, and then black ends up taking on b2, and it's sort of just getting liquidated. So it seems to me like queen b3 is definitely a better move for keeping the tension in the position there. And then what? Yeah, so far we were seeing takes and knight f6 from the engines, which is obviously pretty similar. Yeah, always. Leela's quite. Queen b3 or queen b5. That's pretty similar, really. And queen b3, knight f6. That's what Ding played, and so yeah, who knows? Maybe Ding really does know his stuff really well. Queen b3, knight f6. Stockfish converging to that now as well. So maybe Ding really does know his stuff. That wouldn't be too surprising, I suppose, but. We shouldn't really be amazed that the world champion knows his stuff, but yeah. Okay, that's interesting. That's really interesting. But let's have a look. Do we have any other interesting games here? Actually, yeah, Jordan against Anish is just weird. I don't really understand any of that. Modern chess, modern Dutch chess, I think. We'll just leave it at that. And Vidit against Nordebek is quite interesting. So this line bishop b4, we were talking about the Ragozin there, and yeah, bishop d2. I mean, you know, in the good old days, an opponent playing bishop d2 in the Nimzo Indian, that was a sign that he knew nothing at all, and that you had nothing to fear from him. He had no opening knowledge whatsoever. But yeah, now they just seem to be doing it somehow. Just you know, yeah, I don't know. I always find it a bit weird because, you know, I mean, black gets the opportunity, you know, to go bishop c3 and knight e4 and just swap off two sets of minor pieces, and I always thought that was absolutely nothing for white, you know, but also nothing for black, and nothing very exciting. But maybe the point is you don't get very much in normal lines of the Nimzo either, so you might as well just do that. I don't know, but b6 played by Nordebek again. You know, I think that, you know, we're seeing you know, a lot of openings where black could just play, you know, steadfastly for nothing very much, but the black players are trying to keep some life in the position, you know. So it's which is, you know, really nice for us. So takes and rook c1. Now this is one of the ideas of this bishop d2 system. You can get the rook quickly to c1 and look for stuff like knight b5 and all of that. Yeah, I mean, other ideas are often to play, you know, the knight to e5 and f4, and then bishop d3, get a Pillsbury system. I'm always a bit nervous about, you know, playing systems where you have this this pawn chain in the center, and you leave your bishop inside it. Then you take on d5, and then afterwards you have to find a plan. I mean, there's a few lines in the Queen's Indian where this does not work out well for white ever, you know, and yeah, always a little bit afraid of it. But okay, you know, I mean, it's not necessarily bad. So bishop e7 for black, just avoiding this move knight b5. And now, very interesting move from Vidit. He plays g3. So we really are heading back now to a Queen's Indian. Yeah, which is very interesting. Of course, there is one big inconvenience here, that after you go bishop g2, black can go bishop a6 to stop you from castling. And well, that is absolutely. I would have thought that that Vidit knew this and played the move queen a4. Must be said that g3 was a very long think here, so it looks like he was kind of trying to work out really what to do here. This is actually quite sharp, this position now. This is quite crucial. I mean, black could play bishop b7. It wouldn't be the end of the world, but obviously you'd feel a bit stupid giving white this tempo queen a4, which is not completely useless. It's not a big tempo, but it probably could be quite useful in some lines. For example, you can imagine, would knight b5 be more interesting? I'm not sure really. I was thinking, you're covering the e4 square and g4, so black can't put the knight there, but knight d7, you're threatening to come around to c5. So I don't know whether you'd really. Or would you make it? Knight c5. Sorry, we're going quite far here, really, into this line. But interesting. This would be the sort of thing you'd really want to have prepared somehow to know whether it's good or not. The problem is queen c4. I could most likely go bishop a6 when I'd have knight d3, and I'd like to go knight e7 and rook c5 and then take on b7, but you go bishop g2, which is rather annoying. And if I do it the other way around, rook c5, you just go bishop c5. So I'm guessing this is not so well. Although I don't know, knight f6 check takes bishop. Ooh, this could be quite worrying. Rook b8, I go queen g4 check and bishop e4, and then queen f5. Could be quite worrying. Intriguing. Yeah. I mean, bishop e7 that's the move that you play if you're feeling a bit lazy. But I don't think that Nordebek will feel lazy. He's not that kind of guy. So I think really that he's going to try and keep this bishop on the a6 f1 diagonal, unless things are really bad. But how? I mean, there's queen c8. I find it weird he played knight bd7 so quickly and bishop a6 so quickly. You would have thought that this would be preparation then, wouldn't you, really? Let me just, I'm just intrigued actually to know whether this is preparation, whether this is known actually. So let me just going to try chess base. Oops. Chess base. And just see, I know you can't see my screen, don't worry. It's fine. There we are. Come on, show me. Oh, dear, taking a long time. Vidit Abu Dasarov. Let's have a look. What is the novelty? IB7 is the novelty, actually. A game from an email game between 2015 when bishop b7. So knight bd7 is a novelty, but yeah, okay. I mean, White thought for quite a long time about g3. So yeah, I'm assuming that he was a bit surprised by bishop b7. Queen a4. Oh, bishop c4. Nah. Well, you can see what the engine is saying about that, and to be honest, that is my reaction too. This looks very odd. Very odd. Don't ask me how we can prove that it's odd, but it looks very peculiar as well. But I'm sure Nordebek knows that. But so what is the? Well, I mean, we've got a couple of ideas, right? I mean, a number of ideas. I mean, queen c6 is not so stupid, actually. Just yeah. I mean, queen c6 is really not stupid. Knight e5 might be vaguely interesting. Definitely could be. And b3 is also something where you're not 100% sure what he wants. I mean, I would imagine if I'm guessing, my guess is after b3. I don't think anything like b5 works, but my guess would be that he wants to play bishop d3. That having the queen a bit cut off like this is going to help in a lot of these lines. That would be my initial guess. That's why he's playing this this move bishop c4. I have to say that queen c6, if I'm being a real grandmaster, that would be the move that I would say this is just going to be really strong. I mean, really, actually, I mean, what's he doing after queen c6? I mean, I'm just going b3 simply. And, I mean, what on earth have you got here? I'm totally lost, I have to say. I just can't imagine what he's got here. I mean, I think it would have been a good reply to bishop d3 as well, to be honest. Nah, this looks awful. It looks absolutely awful. I think. And I'm not even convinced with b3, and even knight e5 looks. I mean, knight e5 might be too much, right? I mean, but I mean, these lines are actually working because the bishop's on prise, and obviously if you go knight e5, then rook takes c4. So, I mean, I could maybe throw in a little b5 or something like that. Maybe that'll, yeah, who knows? But yeah, queen c6 looks like a great move to me. So we will see. Maybe I've missed something obvious. That's always possible, of course. But I don't see it. If it's obvious, it's not easy to see. If you see what I mean. It sounds a bit like Johann Cruyff, doesn't it? Really. I mean, you could do something like, like this, and try and hang on and say, well, I'm sacking the pawn, and you're. I'll have some compensation. I mean, there are lines, possible lines like this, for example, with a check coming in or whatever. But I don't know. You don't need to rush with this stuff, right? I mean, I can even just play a move like bishop f1, swap off the bishops, and I've just got this lovely c6 square for my queen. No, I think that's a big mistake from Nordebeck. Oh, just looking at Max against Ding. Oh, well, I don't think that's. I don't think that's going to lead to anywhere, to be honest. That looks just like the best possible version that Black could have of this line. Okay. All right. Let's have a little look at the challengers because there are a few quite interesting things there. I will point out the following, which is simply quite incredible. Because this was a Najdorf, and yeah, after a6, White played the move knight f3, which I don't know. Has anyone ever played this? I mean, this is just simply incredible. I mean, fair dues. If Black plays e5, then you can play bishop b3. Well, you would play bishop g5 in actual fact. I mean, that's fair enough if you desperately want to play e5. But against stuff like e6, for example, you are sort of wondering a little bit. I mean, maybe the idea is after e6, you want to go bishop f4, maybe, and play queen d2 castles. Possible. Normally with these things, I like to play dragon systems, but maybe e5 is the idea. Maybe this is the idea. Oh, sorry, let's move off the engine, but I think that the engine agrees there. Okay, so maybe not so silly, but knight bd7 is a good move. It would probably be my move as well. And then g6. Yeah, whenever White players play odd stuff in the Najdorf, heading for a dragon system is always pretty cool. Let's have a look. As always, in modern chess, there are games with everything. Andreikin against Karyakin in 2018. Andreikin had faced it himself in 2018. Safali's playing it. Predka is playing it. So, yeah, okay, there's quite a few games. Not necessarily scoring that great, but yeah, there are definitely quite a few games. It looks like the first one to play it was Eric Karklin's name from the past. Interesting. Yeah, no, so okay, so it's got a few points indeed. So yeah, probably e6, bishop f4, pressuring the pawn, and also g6, e5. Well, yeah, I mean, knight c6 seems interesting as well. Then I'm sort of wondering a little bit what White's bright idea is. Maybe bishop g5? Would that be the idea? I'm seeing bishop f4 a lot. Or bishop g5. Julia Polgar played against Zsuzsa Polgar in 1993. Strange. And Judith played bishop g5 and won, actually. But bishop f4, yeah, bishop f4, bishop g5, you know, both those seem reasonable. I mean, there's some sort of Richter-Rouse, isn't it? I mean, you go queen d2 and castles. A little bit odd you put the knight in front of the f-pawn somehow, but you never know. Might give you a few extra tricks. Intriguing. But yeah, I mean, quite nice, really, and you know, probably a very good way of sidestepping any prep in the Najdorf. You just know that you're going to have a nice time. And well, looking at the position he's got, I guess White's just a little bit better there. That's not bad. Elino Rubers against Erwin Lamy. Yeah, I don't know really. I'm not 100% sure. I guess a little bit better for White, but always got to watch out with these two bishops. You know, it's yeah, it's not a serious advantage for White anyway. I think this game is sorry, distracted me somewhat. So let's have a little look at it. This is Hans Niemann against the very strong Anton Korobov. So these lines are, yeah, I mean, they're the sharpest lines of the Reti, really. I mean, black just takes a pawn. And you can do a lot of different things. I mean, sometimes you sack the pawn with d3, make it into a big gambit. Sometimes you do it with the same with b3, and sometimes you've got all sorts of ideas with knight e5. Just massive theory on that. a4 played, g6, knight a3, and now queen d5. So yeah, this queen often, you know, if it gets chased away, it can sort of nestle onto to c5 really. So castles, bishop g7, and now, well, now an amazing move. Sorry, let's have a look. I mean, this must be, well, I don't know. It doesn't have to be engine generated, but still, you sort of expect it really to be. Just let's put that into Chessify. Let's have a little look what the so what are you thinking after bishop g7? Because Hunt here played the move h4. There we are. Stockfish's top move. Stockfish is not particularly keen, but looks with the position. But h4 is one of the top moves. Of course, it's probably one of Leela's. It's Leela's top move as well. Amazing. Yeah, I mean the idea, I guess, of where are we? Of h4, presumably to have knight g5 at some stage, and also to dissuade black from playing queen h5, bishop h3, which is probably quite a common little idea. So bishop f5 played by Korobov. And after b3, he played c3. So b3, yeah, b3 offering some sort of, I guess after here, knight g5 was the idea, and queen d7, we go queen b3, and we're sort of looking at stuff. And maybe we can go e4 and chase the bishop away. Yeah, it's all a little bit random, really. So c3 played by Korobov. And the idea is if takes, well, I guess we can take, go knight e4, and we're attacking this one. So Hunt played d3 to play e4, and now black plays queen back to d8. Wow. Well, you wouldn't have said that this game was being played by a couple of the strongest players in the world, would you? Really, you'd be expecting 1500 against 1500. Really, trying to explain, how this pawn got to here, why the move h4 has been played, why black seems to be, why the tempi seems so odd. Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually I definitely need a little bit of time just to get myself into this position, even vaguely work out what I want to do here. I mean, I guess I want to grab that c3 pawn. That would probably be a good idea. Intuitively, if I was just saying, what would I expect my next course to be? It would be the move b4, I think, to play the queen to b3. And also, you can sort of, I sort of feel I can surround, the pawn the best way if I've got a bit of space on b4. I don't think any other moves are really tempting me that much, to be honest. So I think, yeah, I mean, b4, but this is just bananas, this. You just have no idea what's going to happen. But very, very hard to know what either side should actually be playing for, really. Maybe go a5 at some moment. Just go b5, I guess. Wow, definitely one to look out for here. But b4 is, for me, would be the move that I would be, I think, looking at only, really, I have to say. Ooh, Saleh Salem against that's right, isn't it? Yeah, Saleh Salem against Leon Luke. Whenever I see Luke, I always think it's going to be McShane somehow, but it's always Mendonca. So these lines I know fairly well. They're classical Steinitz with b5, the good old, quite old-fashioned way. Nowadays they're playing a lot of bishop e7s and b6. C takes d4 is the really old line. I've played that, and a6 I've also played a number of times. Yeah, my feeling about it is very variable, really. Sometimes I'm really happy about it, and I think, oh yeah, no, this is a good line. And other times, just getting very depressed about the positions I get. So, yeah, just I've had generally good results, but yeah, also some feeling of wouldn't like to play this against Magnus. That sort of feeling. So h4 played. Quite interesting. I mean, what White's definitely got to be, one thing White's got to be very careful about is not castle too early. This is a well-known standard error. Black goes c4 and b4 and c3, and you're getting mated before you know it. That was not sure whether it's this exact opening, but this was one of the openings. This trap, castling too early, was something that I gave to the engines in the Computer Chess World Championship, and well, they were amazingly enough holding it as white, but it was fraught. It was very fraught. It was super final between Stockfish and Komodo Dragon. But I think Stockfish got very close to winning it, but missed one key idea. So yeah, there are many moves there. So d takes c5 is one move, and you can also play moves like bishop e2 and bishop d3. Just to develop, and I mean, it feels a bit odd to provoke this, but of course the king is going over here, so there's no worry here. A3 was very popular when I played it a number of times back in 2013, 14. Drew again against Shirov in this, yeah, was fairly comfortable. It was in the 4NCL finals. But h4, very sensible. just bishop b7, queen f2. And I mean, white's just basically waiting for things to get sort of resolved here. I think, when black goes c takes d4, then white will be thinking about castles. But yeah, but white doesn't want to play d takes c5 and let black develop the bishop, for example, in one go. Going to maybe want black to play a move like bishop b7, and then you take on c5, So it's a little bit of shadow boxing going on there. Rook h3. So yeah, you can see white's trying to make lots of useful moves here, and these are quite useful moves. The one thing is quite interesting now because black plays queen a5, which you might say, oh, that's very strange. Does black not know what he's doing? Queen b6, rook h3, queen a5. But I guess that black's reasoning here is that having played rook h3, white is not going to castle kingside. So yeah, there's no need to there's no need to hedge your bets anymore. So let's just get this queen attacking. Of course, you could also just play your castle your king artificially. That's still possible, of course. But yeah, in principle, you'd sort of be expecting white to be castling queenside here. So h5, bishop b7, bishop d2, sort of vaguely hitting the queen, and that was the sort of the prelude. Knight e2 played, castles, and now castle queenside. That was obviously the prelude to getting started on the queenside. Now this is quite interesting because black took on d4 here, which not sure. Obviously, I mean, c4 is kind of tempting. And also the move b4 first in order to go c4. Yeah, I'm really not sure, actually. Why wouldn't you want to do... Because this move b4 is quite nice. I mean, obviously, if dc, I can go knight c5. I'm coming into e4. That should be quite good. That should be quite decent. I think. So in any case, yeah, rather than taking on d4 and bringing a knight into play, playing b4 and having white do this, I don't think you'd be too upset about that. So yeah, what would white do? I mean, I was wondering about c4, intending b4 and c3. You might get white playing f5 then straight away. Ef. Something like knight f4, maybe. Even that isn't very clear. I mean, knight b6. How is white breaking through there? It's not so obvious. I mean, I could go just knight g3, I suppose. Because if g6, well, you're helping me to open stuff, so that might be quite decent for white. That might be quite interesting. But yeah, if I go play the move b4, then if you go f5, then I just want to take on d4 and claim somehow that this e5 pawn might be weak. But is that a good claim? I mean, f6 is possible. This is not clear. I've seen a number of positions like this, and they didn't turn out to be so amazing for white. I mean, the key point is, I mean, I'm threatening rook g3, so I'm going to need to sacrifice the exchange like that. But well, I don't know. Got some quite nice pieces, really. Ef, I guess I'll maybe take here and go knight e4 and bishop f6. Don't know, but it's definitely possible. And yeah, I don't know. I quite like b4. I have to say that would definitely be my be the move that I'm thinking of there. But anyway, black took on d4, knight d4, b4. It just seems so odd. Why would you? Yeah. King b1 and a5. So yeah, this is a bit slow, really. It's a little bit. Yeah. I don't want to be, it's not meant to be annoying or anything like that, but it feels a bit stereotyped somehow. It's feels stereotyped and it feels a bit slow, really. What black's doing. This is quite standard, but yeah, I don't know whether it's really doing the business for me. So knight c6 was played, bishop c6, and now f5. Well. is a surprise. Well, it's not an amazing surprise. I mean, it's what we vaguely expected, but in this specific position, I'm slightly surprised by it. In a way, surprising to have swapped off the knights on c6 first of all, if you see what I mean, because this knight was attacking the pawn on e6. So yeah, takes f5 feels a little bit weird. ef5 played. I mean, knight e5 is also needs to be calculated. Not really sure why that's not possible actually. I mean, I was vaguely wondering about takes and bishop f4 and trying to catch the black queen, but I mean, actually, you could even come back to f6 here, and you wouldn't be caught yet. I mean, that would be dangerous, right? But yeah, it is vaguely possible. Maybe that is quite dangerous. But e takes f5 played, and now I'm interested to know what white's got planned here. Which is not very obvious to me, I have to say. But I mean, maybe it doesn't have to be obvious to me. Maybe it's just good enough that white's got some long-term play or something. I mean, are you maybe just going to go bishop d3 and bishop f5, something like this, and claim that that you've got threats brewing? I mean, that is true, but it's not. I've seen scarier somehow. Interesting. I mean, yeah. I mean, if I had to give my feeling, I'd say that the players are not quite not quite finding the very best lines there. But yeah, what can I say? That's an opinion. We'll see what the players manage. Let's have a look. Oh, okay. Well, Hans has completely not done what I said. Knight c4 and bishop a3, and black Korobov has played a5. Got to watch out there, Hans. I mean, if black gets knight a6 to b4 in, then I don't know whether we'll ever recapture that pawn on c3. Not comfortably, anyway. Right. Interesting. You're having a strange tournament, Hans. Very, very up and down, but yeah, entertaining as always. That's definitely true. Have a last look at this game, which is quite interesting. So this is Divya Desmuk against Harika Dronavali. Sorry, I hesitated on her name there. Seen her many times, so I should know how to pronounce that better. Now, this is really interesting, and I feel a bit. I mean, I do have to. I do feel a little bit ashamed of myself, really, because during the Alpha Zero Stockfish 8 matches, so against quite a well nowadays an ancient version of Stockfish. Stockfish was playing these Queen's Gambit declined positions with the bishop on d6 all the time, and this is very, very unusual. The bishop normally comes to e7 to block the pin and threaten knight h5. And yeah, I mean, bishop d6. Well, it wasn't. You know, the follow up was not that great from Stockfish 8. I mean, what was generally happening was that it was various move orders, but we were getting positions like this, where Stockfish was taking this knight on f3, but then Alpha Zero was getting huge amounts of play with King h1, Rook g1, and won a number of very good games there, and yeah, I mean there were a few weaknesses to see, like this move knight a6. Yeah, it sort of covers this attack against the pawn on b7, but yeah, the knight is not very well placed there, and this move bishop g4. Yeah, do you really want to take this knight and open the g file? In principle, not really. So yeah, a lot of bad things were happening there somehow. So I didn't really pay much attention to the concept of bishop d6, but actually, yeah, these sort of concepts with bishop d6 and playing the bishop to e6 rather than g4 and knight bd7, they become sort of quite mainline actually. So yeah, I mean, I think Stockfish 8 definitely had something there, but I didn't really grasp it at the time. The thing was that the only thing that did occur to me was that this was very much an echo of the great Paul Keres, because there's a famous game against Botvinnik, and the move order is a little bit strange. So I won't be able to maybe castles, rook e8, queen c2, knight f8. And somehow Botvinnik played rook b1, and then some moves later he played the move f3, looking for e4, and that was this is kind of a major way of the exchange queen's gambit declined with the pawn on f3, major way of playing. But what Keres came up with was the move bishop d6. With the idea of playing knight g6 and h6 and exchanging off this this dark squared bishop, or rather winning the bishop pair and retaking with a queen on f6, which is a lovely harmonious position. And Botvinnik found something against it, and Keres' move bishop d6 has always been sort of put down as something stupid, or he could never play against Botvinnik. But actually, then you start seeing how the engines are playing, and you sort of say, well, it's clear that Keres had some decent ideas as well, just bad timing, and it just gets dismissed for 70 years in human practice. But yeah, putting the bishop on d6 is not silly at all. And actually, Harika plays this in quite an interesting way as well. I think that the way that she was playing this, and I don't think I'm wrong, is the way that wasn't this the way that was it Nico Antilis who recommended this in his book on 1d4 d5? I think it was him, or I'm remembering another book recently on this opening where Black recommended this. Yeah, I mean, Nico's book is superb in any case, so you definitely got to get it. But I don't know, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was another more recent book. But yeah, incredible, simply that this move is being recommended. And the idea simply is that Black is quite happy at some stage to play for counterplay with b5, b4, c5, and enormous activity, and simply, just actually pretty good for Black. Whereas in my day, pushing the queenside pawns like that was, just a total no-no. You'd be laughed at if you started doing that. But yeah, I mean, there definitely has been a tradition, certainly for players of my generation, that you've got to handle the Queen's Gambit declined in a kind of a passive way as Black. And this sort of structure as well, you just got to wait for White to come and attack you. But the Stockfish Alpha Zero games, there's quite a few of them in this Carlsbad structure as Black, where Alpha Zero was generating incredible activity with Black. And well, I mean, all of the systems that have come since, and yeah, I'm sure reinforced by engines like Stockfish and Leela and Komodo Dragon. Yeah, I mean, they've all been very aggressive handling, and yeah, really revolutionized really the way that Black plays. Hey, Carl, good to see you. Sorry, I didn't say hi. I had Chessbase in front of me, so I didn't see the chats. Yeah, bishop takes h2, indeed. Yeah, well, the nasty thing about this is that after castles, bishop takes h2 is probably possible, I guess. Looks like it will be, right? We've got g5 and we've got queen d6 check, so you sort of feel that's going to be quite nasty. And one of the beautiful things about putting the bishop on d6 is that normally White plays f3 and gets the bishop back to f2. It also covers this bishop h2 knight g4 idea. But of course, now not having the bishop on e7 like normal, but the bishop on d6, we've got rook e3. So it actually really makes a bit of a problem for white's normal setup in this line. So yeah, what actually happened? So it's a little bit mysterious. So a3, knight a6 played. That's good. a3, because knight b4 was threatened. Now you might expect modern chess b5 to be played here, I think, but knight c7 was played, which is quite restrained. Castles, and now maybe a strange move from black, because I don't really get that, to be honest. Black played the move knight e6, which is, it's a very reasonable normal move there in Queen's Gambit declines, but it allows white to play the move f3. It's a bit unusual having played h3 and f3, I'll grant you. I mean, it makes the g3 square here just a little bit more vulnerable, but it's not so bad. And you can retreat, bolster up your dark squares and then play for e4 now. So I'm a bit surprised that the black played knight e6, and actually after f3 just played the move bishop e7. Have the feeling that something went a bit wrong there, to be honest. But bishop f2 played c5. Yeah, this doesn't feel right. I mean, this really feels like plans have been mixed, really, because to play c5 when you already played a5, it is possible, it's known, but I just don't think it looks right. I mean, you'd rather have that pawn on a6, not on a5. Oh, you've had a game like this, Zaul. Oh, great! It's I get this a lot in this structure. I get a lot in Bullet, which is more or less the only chess I play nowadays, which is a bit silly. I should play a bit more, but yeah, I get a lot of, and it always scores very, very well for white. Somehow it's difficult for black to handle. So rook d1 played, which is question mark. Was bishop b5 maybe quite strong, I think. Oh, well, I don't know actually. Rook d1, and then c4. If c4, we're playing bishop f5, which I think looks pretty okay for white there. Why is he giving rook d1? Oh, let's have a look there. What does he think? C takes d4. So did he think white had a better idea? D takes c5 or something? That's a bit odd. It's not really right. Yeah, maybe d takes c5 was fine. Actually, d takes c5 followed by bishop b5 was probably quite good. But c takes d4, e takes d4. Yeah, this is pretty. This is pretty normal for white. You don't. You just keep this pawn on d4 and controls lots of squares. And yeah, I mean, eventually, what are you aiming for? You'd like to be moving your kingside pawns forward. That would not be bad at all. Bishop d7, rook e1, bishop c6. Yeah, I guess that's probably a decent idea. I mean, black's going to play bishop d6 here. And just have the pieces a little bit organized. Yeah, and white's got to try and work out, what are you going to do in this position? Got to be a little bit cautious. I mean, what you want to do, you'd really want to do these moves somehow, and just shift your position forward. Elevation. That's what my favorite. One of my favorite authors, Shashin. He was responsible for the bizarre but also weirdly fascinating how to find the best move in every position, which is obviously a good game, but a good idea. But he basically identified key facets of play from three players: Capablanca, Tal, and Petrosjan. And then he tried to work out in which position should you play like Capablanca, in which should you play like Tal, and in which position should you play like Petrosjan. And yeah, he called it the Tal algorithm, the Capablanca algorithm, and the Petrosjan algorithm. And yeah, I mean, it was interesting because it was an interesting idea, and it's an interesting idea because the things that he found characteristic of each player was not necessarily the thing that you'd expect. So yeah, Capablanca, what he found in Capablanca's games, he said that when Capablanca had an advantage, he tried to move his position one rank forward. So he would play moves like g4 and king g2 and stuff like this, and just creep forward, have the same good position, but a rank closer to the opponent's position. Yeah, he gave some examples. I don't know 100% whether it's really true, but it's, I like concepts like that because they just make you think about chess, and yeah, these 95 into e4 ideas. Yes, are definitely ideas. Yeah, I mean, normally in these sort of positions, I end up putting my queen back to d2 again, just to try and control some squares. Bishop comes to f5, and then I'm going to try and do this. That's basically what I'm looking at. And this bishop can also come around here and maybe, a2 to attack this pawn as well. It's probably not so bad for black, but I always feel a lot more comfortable as white in these positions. That's absolutely true. We've had a draw in Liam Vrolik against Jaime Santos Lataza. Very good. Ooh, what have we got? We've got Mustafa Yilmaz against Stefan Bokema. We're going to have 2 rooks against a queen. Who's better and why? I guess I prefer the queen slightly in this position, but I mean, weak dark squares and weak pawns. If I could sort of keep a grip of squares like this, that would be quite nice. But probably not so easy. Probably not so easy there. Am I right? Is it Yilmaz who's having a bit of a nightmare? He's not having a great tournament, is he, Mustafa Yilmaz? So quite high rated, but yeah. I mean, it definitely is possible to have a terrible tournament at Vaikanze. I know that from experience. It's just, yeah, it's a Dutch seaside resort in winter somehow, and yeah, it's the sort of thing that you can just feel a bit depressed if things are going wrong, or sometimes mood. Sometimes it's just not. It doesn't feel like your time, and yeah, it just feels all wrong, and yeah, then it's very easy for your chess to go downwards because, I mean, you really have to be keen on chess when you play Vaikanze because everyone's doing chess. I think it's a little bit smaller than it used to be like that, but, there's always amateurs around in the cafes and all that, analyzing everywhere. Everywhere is chess, basically, all grey weather and rain and a lot of wind. So, yeah, you've got to be keen to be there playing chess. And certainly the year that I played was 2012. I'd had, an amazing run of results. I'd won a couple of strong international opens, really strong ones actually, and I was playing beautifully. But I got invited to the C group of Vaikanze, and I thought, oh, why not? I'd never played Vaikanze as a professional, but I had quite an intensive period of exams for my work before I went there, and I arrived. I was quite a big rating favourite. There was another guy who's rated like me, but everyone else was 250 to 300 points lower, but I arrived there and I was already quite tired, and somehow, yeah, the atmosphere of Vaikanze just didn't grab me, and I think the point was, that I've been to Barcelona, I've been to Oslo, really nice tournaments where actually before I played my games, I wasn't preparing that much. Only really towards the end of the tournament when I was doing really well, then the preparation sort of kicked in. But I was, walking around, going to a museum in museums. It was really lovely. It was just very, very nice. And I was basically not thinking about playing chess. And yeah, Barcelona's amazing. It was just incredible, really. I was there with 3 friends from Amersfoort Chess Club, and it was absolutely lovely. Though I think they found me a bit of a lunatic as I started playing for the lead somehow. But they're lovely. They're really lovely guys. Had an amazing time there. But yeah, Vaikanze, somehow there was nothing like that. There were, you could go for walks, but it was windy and rainy and cold. And I just had the feeling I couldn't escape from chess. It was too much chess, really. When I was professional, I could do it easily, but as an amateur, I just found it really difficult. And then on top of that, all of my opponents actually played really, really well. I wasn't playing at my best. I think try not to give just excuses and everything, but I think that's fair enough to say. But I do feel that my opponents also played excellently. They're all young, all very motivated, and none of them were scared of me at all. And it showed. I got a number of very good advantages which I couldn't put away because the defense was so tough. And and the whole tournament, I lost 35 elo points or something like that. But I did decide there that I suddenly realised that I wasn't a professional anymore, and I think I underestimated that. I think I got carried away by winning a couple of tournaments and thinking, oh well, let's just do it seriously then, and then it'll be even better. But that's not the point. You're an amateur. You've got your full-time job. You get tired in that as well. When you go out and play chess, you've got to be relaxed. You've got to be building up energy. Because you're normally going from work, finishing everything off, and then you've got your chess tournament. So trying to approach it like a professional, choosing tournaments that when you're playing the full, big 13-round tournament there, full-on professional tournaments, that's not the right way to play as an amateur. You need to have nice weather and great stuff, Hey, Cassandre. Brilliant. Fantastic. Thanks very much. Yes, finally live. I hope that it's not a disappointment. It's just doing some random streams here. I'm going to be doing one serious stream for a nice event. We'll say that later, what that all is. But I'm just trying to practice doing this and getting used to it all. The way that I'm doing it is quite basic, obviously, with just one shared screen and just a small video of me. So that the software that you can get nowadays is absolutely amazing. I sound exactly like an ex-professional chess player, indeed. Yes, I've still got the moaning and the whining that professional chess players have, but but it's I'm giving some excuses and all that, but it's not meant to be like that. That's one of the great things. That's one of the painful things about chess, but also the thing that attracts you the most, I think. And it's simply that everything that happens is your fault, and also your responsibility. But also, you have the ability to change it as well. And that's simply how it is. And sometimes, tournament. It's. I always accept game submissions, Evan. No problem at all. If you see some games that you think are lovely, just drop a line on the channel or whatever. That's no problem at all. The only thing is that I always say I'm not professional. I've got a full-time job doing this. So often it takes me a very long time. There's I've had maybe 4 or 5 games like that where people have submitted them, and then somehow half a year later it's I'm doing something on them, but it's not meant to. Again, do forgive me for that. It's not meant to be. Not meant to be unresponsive or whatever. It's just that just got not so much time to do stuff. So always happy to see games. I'm going to look through CCRL. Actually, I haven't looked at much at all. I'm going to look through the chess.com CCC database, because we had some matches between Torch and Stockfish, Leela and Stockfish as well. Those games are normally, there's normally a few absolute gems in between there, but it's thousands of games, so I need to put aside some time for that. And the TCC Swiss as well is very nice. Okay, 40k nodes b4 b5. I was really impressed. I was quite shocked, actually, because I thought this was really something that this is the sort of thing that you often see in the TCC super finals, that the Leela's falling for it, and Stockfish is winning. But actually, I don't think Leela will fall for this sort of stuff anymore, because it was really quick. It's great fun to play around with, isn't it? I do love. That's I just always find I'm discovering so much with chess. So much. And if you interrogate yourself as well, and just will say, okay, I had that thought. Why is the engine thinking this? You just learn such a lot. I'm glad you like the Queen D2 line, Chris. I was absolutely shocked and amazed by that, and it makes a lot of sense. I was a bit shocked somehow. Some of the strong players were sort of saying, "Oh, well, it was just nothing really." But I think it's really, really strong. And the way that black has to play, I wouldn't. Oh, he got an Anakin. Oh, yeah. Because I really think this Queen D2 perk. I would never guess at all what black should play. Or if I did, I'd think I was a genius simply. Yeah. It's. That would have been brilliant. But for NCL H5, I'll take a look at your H5 Dragon game, Daniel, and that would be quite nice just to have a look at that. Cool. Let's go back to the main stuff. It's not amazingly exciting today, but it's not bad. It's pretty always some stuff to talk about. Okay, so B4 was not played by Donchenko. That is amazing. Well, yeah, I said there's only one move that can be played, and that's B4. But I was proved wrong. Okay, yeah. No, but that's a good choice, Daniel. That's I think that's definitely a good idea to play castles. It's definitely more confusing for the opponent. That's so knight b3 was played, which is a little bit. It doesn't really feel like it's going to give you a big advantage. He spent a very long time on that, Donchenko. But I think maybe he was thinking that he wants to keep some life in the position. He was probably afraid that after b4 there'd be some sort of sharp equalizing exchanging line, and it would But this doesn't feel very exciting really. Rook c8 played. Well, this feels very much like huggy, shaky. Remise. That's what I'm feeling. So yeah, not great. Ooh, now this one's maybe getting exciting. Oh, just one. Ooh. Oh, actually, there's too much happening. Just one thing, actually. This reminds me very much of Alpha Zero was always playing these positions by putting. I'm going to have to do this. I've got all the stuff together somehow, but I haven't done the video yet. I mean, that is the case for hundreds of these things. But it was playing a lot of these positions with black, and always taking the isolated pawn and then putting a rook on e4. That was the big thing that it was doing. It was played some wonderful games in those lines. I should definitely do that. Yeah, I've got some lovely stuff on that. So yeah, well, another interesting thing. We were looking at Vidit here, and bishop c4. Now let me just have a look. What were we suggesting here? So I was claiming that after queen c6 that black was black was in huge trouble. Well, Stockfish at depth 29 is not really agreeing with me. I'm still skeptical. Maybe more depth, but yeah, b3 we also thought was quite strong. Bishop d3 and knight e5. Oh, with queen c6 now. And the queen c6 now. Oh no, still not. Ow. Amazing. Knight e5. We looked at this sort of line and we thought it was going to be very strong. And actually, chess.com is saying this was very good. Knight e4. And now the move queen d4. Well, it looks like Vidit has found all the best moves here. Bishop c3, and well, indeed, you're just picking up a pawn. It's a little bit disappointing from Nordebek, actually. I mean, obviously it's easy just sitting here, but I mean, I can tell you that every inch of my fiber is saying that you just can't play bishop c4. It'll just never ever work. So. It's weird for such a strong player to do something like this. We wouldn't expect it of him because he's normally, very, very disciplined somehow, and he's the sort of guy who I would say, oh, I play bishop a6, queen a4 is possible. Okay, well, I'll go back to b7 then, and that's it. Well, shoot me then, I've wasted a tempo, but I don't care. So, bishop c4 is a much more a decision that a much less tough player, slightly more fragile player would take. That's my feeling on it. So very surprising. But Vidit's got massive chances. He's just going to win a pawn now, and yeah, he can grind forever basically. So, but that's quite interesting, isn't it? For the because in the standings this would be enormous, right? Because Nordebek is on 7.5, Vidit is on 6.5. You know, I mean, yeah, Gukesh against Pragananda. Just take a quick look at that one. Oh, I was going to say that it's not so amazing for white, but the engine is disagreeing there. Yeah, I don't know. These pieces, it looks a bit odd, really. But maybe if white can retreat the queen and bring the knight into f5, then it might get quite serious somehow. I guess black might go GC. It doesn't feel so bad for black. I mean, it's a weird modern Benoni with a bishop on a5 because of rook b8. But rook b8, I was thinking knight e5, knight e5. Abdul Rahman, I'm not sure. I'll have to see. You might well be right. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, engine likes this a lot for white. I'm not 100% sure, but I mean that's obviously quite crucial. A win for Gukesh would be incredible, of course. But I mean Pragananda is on 6.5, so yeah. Of course, never forget Anisha. I mean, it's. A lot of other people are getting a lot of attention, but yeah, Anisha's on 6.5 and looking very, very good. So, I mean, actually, it's a thrilling tournament, right? I mean, look at all these guys, top 8 within a 1.5 of each other. And if Nordebek loses, then yeah, the field's going to get completely bunched. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be, yeah, this is round 12, isn't it? And 13 to come. I mean, it's going to be thrilling. Or it could just be a damp squid and everyone agrees to draw. But somehow, I don't know. I'm not sure that depends on the last round pairings. Let's have a look at the last round pairings. Do we get those? Oh, they don't show them here yet. But I mean, that's the beauty of having these imbalanced tournaments. You know, somebody at least might well get somebody who's having a bit of a rough time. You know, so then it can be everything. Yeah, we are going to Ali Razor because we should definitely have a look at this. So, by the way, I'll probably do the stream until about 4 o'clock or something. That's probably what I'll do. And I'll go for a little walk. I'm trying to recover from the 5K I did this morning, so it's I need to walk in order to still be able to move tomorrow. Actually, got a nice day tomorrow. I've got I got my brother's Christmas present, so which is to go and see Matt Green, who's an English comedian at a small theatre in London. So yeah, we're going out for a meal together before, and then afterwards going to watch some comedy. Matt Green. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably have got some of his stuff retweeted. He's one of those comedians who actually has been doing stand-up for a very long time, but or very long time. He's quite youngish. He's probably about 35. 30, 38, 39, something like that. But he's been doing stand-up for quite a while, but really during COVID, and he sort of came to prominence. You know, there's a group of comedians who did a lot of really funny stuff on Twitter. Carl, that's great. So there's him, there's Rosie Holt, there's a couple of guys called the Exploding Heads who they do football comedy and also some political comedy as well, and sometimes a mix of the two. And there's also Larry and Paul, northern comedians who do a lot of political comedy, but yeah, very good. And yeah, I mean, you can feel a bit worried somehow about where the country is going and all of that, but somehow the quality of comedy and political satire is excellent in the UK at the moment. So yeah, there's always something to laugh at least, even if sometimes what's happening in the world makes you want to cry, really. So, but anyway, we're going to see him tomorrow. So always nice. I always enjoy doing stuff with my brother. Just thank goodness we get on very well. So always nice. So let's have a look. So this Yeah, quite interesting. I mean, let me just have a little check on ChessBase, because I would not be at all surprised if this was theory. I've actually, one thing I've got to check is the game between Vei and Varmadam yesterday. This amazing Bishops opening with all this stuff happening, because I'm pretty sure I had lots of that in my engine preparation. Because I reviewed a book on the Bishops opening, and I did a lot of engine analysis there, trying to find the lines for TCC, and the position that they reach looks very, very familiar somehow. So I will have to have a look at that sometime. But novelty. So knight b4 is a novelty from Jan, although it's not that dissimilar to a game played between Richard Rapport and Predrag Nikolic in 2014. But I think the key thing here is that Jan is not playing the move b5, so he's just playing with his pieces somehow. Whereas Predrag played b5 and he lost to Richard. But yeah, what can you say? Playing these sort of positions as black against Richard is quite a challenge, I would imagine. So let's have a look. Yes, indeed, this rook's back on h1. So a3 played. Obviously, rook takes c3 was the threat. I think this is probably some Jan, who knows, maybe World Championship preparation or something. Some accurate move orders. G5, knight d7, h4, and here Jan played queen b6. So b5 would, I think, have transposed to Rapport against Nikolic. B5 doesn't look like a stupid move, but queen b6 is kind of specific there. Jan spent quite a lot of time for him, 8 minutes. That's like 30 minutes for someone else, really. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's two ideas. You've vaguely got some sort of threat of bishop a3, maybe. I'm saying vaguely maybe because there's knight d5 and then the queen comes here, or even knight a4 and then the queen takes there. So I'm not sure why that should be a particular threat. And then, of course, there's knight takes d4 as a possible threat. But Ali Reza just ignored it with bishop h3, which is the sort of thing I often do in blitz and then regret it, because I sort of feel there should be something. There should be something. You shouldn't be able to take that pawn on d4, and then your opponent does it, and well, it's only bullet, so you've got no time to work out what it is. But it's just, yeah, I mean, this feels very odd with the bishop cutting across. We've got knight d5 threats. The white king's not so bad. I mean, you've got a reasonable amount of defensive pieces and a sweeper on the third rank. So I don't know. I mean, I'd be sort of kind of expecting this to be possibly a little bit disgusting for black, I have to say. So Ali Reza plays queen e3. And what is black going to do here? Because if he goes to knight c6, well, at the very least, I've got knight takes d5, which is very pleasant. I mean, I've got the two bishops. Once we break this pawn on d5, I mean, I've got a dream of a position, really. So that's not. It's not going to be knight c6. You can be sure of that. Well, if it is knight c6, then yeah, Jan's in trouble. You could. No, surely not. Or could you? Rook takes c3. How about that one? Queen c3, knight b5. The idea is that after queen c8, king e7, queen h8, I want to go. I'm not quite sure which way do I want to do this. I've got quite a few ways here. Well, I mean, I could go knight a3 and then knight c2 here, right? I don't know how. I mean, this is quite tricky somehow, yeah? I'm going to have queen a5, knight b4, or knight c5. I mean, I should. If I try and sweep with the rook, I've got knight b4 takes d3. If I try and bring my queen back into play, I've got bishop e5 to block it, and then, I carry on with my life with knight b4 and queen a5. That looks quite dangerous, to be honest. And if I go queen b3. The point is, if you go queen b3, you know, which you sort of think, well, I can block, but I just go knight c5. Yeah, no, it's true. Ooh, well, this is going to get quite interesting. I mean, I could also even play bishop a3 in this position, and after ba go knight c5. I'm not sure, but I don't. It's not clear to me how you're doing this. I'm glad you've not got an engine on. Yeah. I mean, from time to time, I stick it on just to, you know, to be sure about stuff. But in general, you know, I mean, it's not really the point, is it? I think you know, the human lines that everyone sees are the ones that I tend to go for first. So, you know, those are nice ones to explain first, and then you've just got the engine to give a little bit of extra. But knight a4, queen b4, something like this would probably still work out. So not clear, but I mean, knight c5 would be quite nerve-wracking somehow. I mean, queen e3, I go d4. Oh, I don't know. Certainly worries me, I have to say. Rook takes c3. That's possible. Well, let's just have a look to see what other possibilities black has got, because I'm not clear on it. Because bishop c5, I've got knight a4. And then I'm taking on c5 and taking on d4 here. So that is just not possible unless I'm missing something enormous. Bishop e5, I'm guessing I can just play f4 here and win a piece. I mean, rook c3, queen c3 is nothing here. Yeah, pieces are all wrong. So, and what else are you going to do? I mean, knight b5 is possible, but again, I can just go. Oh, well, wait a minute. I've got knight d5 here. It's a little bit more complicated, but I think it's still good for. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, well, let's see. Yeah. So let's have a look at the lines. So knight a3 check. I take on a3 here. And if you go ed, I don't know. I mean, I think I go queen a4. You're just completely caught there. I mean, that's just awful. So after queen a3, if you go bishop a3, I just go knight b6 and just winning there. So I think that knight d5 is strong, and yeah, there. What else could you do? Yeah, queen e3. I've got knight e3 here simply, which is just winning. So I don't think you can go knight b5. So, well, I'm sorry. I think that Jan's got to play rook c3. I don't see that there's anything else to it. Queen c3, and now I'm trying to think, is there something else that I could do, something cleverer? But no, let's go knight b5. So I think the queen c8, king e7 is just good for black. At the very least, not bad. I can't believe that that this could be. Well, be careful what you say. Interesting. Because what I could do, I'm just looking at it, is to go king a2, knight c2. So this is what I'm thinking. And the idea is that I'm claiming that black can go knight b4, queen a5. That's the big line. And I'm also claiming that you've got stuff like knight c5, queen b3, you know, to sort of get involved as well. So there's a variety of lines. And I was sort of thinking, well, you know, if I could sweep along the third rank with the rook, that might be good. But here I'm taking and taking here, you know, and this is, if queen g7, I've got this move bishop e5. So this is not really, it's not really doing it for me. And I'm threatening knight f2 here as well. But it just occurs to me that could I actually play the move bishop takes e6 here? So, well, if king takes, I'm assuming that I can do something like check here and then rook e1. That definitely looks good. If you go fe, then I'm hoping that this somehow will get me back into where I need to be. You know, we'll have to calculate later whether it's good at all, but that's maybe possible. So and if you go knight b, if you go what's the best way of doing these things? Knight b4 check, most likely. King b1, queen a5. Then I go bishop takes d5, and I'm covering here. And after knight d5, then, yeah, I guess I'm going rook e1 check, and that I'm somehow making all this happen. So interesting. Do I have something else here? I mean, knight c3 and bishop a3 was one idea. But I mean, it's not very clear. Yeah, but I guess I do. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you know, queen g7, I've got this nice idea. I take and go queen a5 check. So you take on here. Oops. You have to take on here. And then I need a move. But maybe I just go bishop c1. Yeah. Rook c1, queen a5, and yeah. So I was trying to. I'm a bit slow on that. I was trying to find some very complicated perpetual, but it's not complicated. It's just that. Oh, okay. So this looks like this is a draw. King here, and then it's not knight a3 because I think this move bishop e6 is very strong. It's knight c3, and after king a1, bishop a3. Obviously, b takes. I've got queen check. Queen g7. I've got bishop check and check. And bc3, I've simply got bishop c1 and queen a5 check with perpetual. Interesting. So, okay, so not too surprising that that Ali Reza should not go there. And I'm assuming that that this is also quite grim somehow in some sort of way, because I mean you're not even causing any trouble here with the queen. So. I think it's going to have to be queen b3. I mean, no, it's going to have to be queen b3, I think. I mean, you might be able to, the only thing that I could think of was you might be able to do some sort of shimmy, you know, and shimmy back here. Look for that sort of line, but I'm worried. So, John Dunn of the piece. Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Let me just go there. I don't want to lose this analysis board, so whoops, masters is what I want. Sorry. Oh, just a4. Oh no. Oh no. Wow. Yeah, bad luck for Jordan. You feel so bad because, you know, black. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Timothy. I think that's right, isn't it? Timothy, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah. You feel so bad because black's just, you've got this sort of position where you say, I should be grinding forever. And yeah, oh, nice. Yeah, oh, yeah, I saw that from Peter Heiner. That's really sweet of him. Yeah, it's always nice when people mention the channel. You always see that you know, it gets you a few more subscriptions, and yeah, you know, I'm not doing it for fame or glory or for money or anything like that. You know, it's just nice. I mean, just enjoy very much when people are enthusiastic about what I do. But it's always nice, you know, that I mean, I do feel that you know, you certainly don't need to look at my channel all the time or watch every single video. But I do think that it is definitely, you know, I look at a corner of chess that most people don't, and you know, I just think it's a corner of chess that, you know, that's so amazing and worthwhile of attention that yeah, you should look from time to time. So always like it when a few new people come along. Yeah, but this is, yeah, as I said, I had a lot of games in this sort of structure with a rook on e4 from Alpha Zero, and yeah, white was really struggling all the time somehow. They're quite difficult to play as black, these positions, you know, quite easy to not play with sufficient energy and mess it up, but it's also, yeah, you know, it is also a bit trappy and a bit tricky for white as well, and well, we've definitely seen that there. All right, but what I'm claiming here is that Ali Reza has to play Queen B3 in this position. Or that's going to be one of the main moves. And now, yeah, I looked at a number of things. Bishop A3, I didn't think that was working. So Knight C5 is very natural. And now we're going to move the queen over to F3. Yes, indeed. Indeed, yes. Yeah. That's but I'm not quite not quite sure what's in it for him, really. It's yeah, I know, but I mean, all of these streamers have done really, really well. You know, I mean, they got in early. They put in all the hard work to you know, to build up a platform whilst everyone else was just looking, and yeah, deserve everything they get. You know, Agad Martor, Gotham Chess, Botes Sisters, and you know, countless others there. I mean, yeah, Hikaru, of course. You know, he's done brilliantly. You know, and Anna Kramling, she's got a very nice channel. Always very friendly somehow. Anna Rudolph as well. You know, had a nice channel. Yeah, Hikaru. It's yeah, you know, it's just very good. You know, I mean, it's very nice, and you know, I'm not the sort of guy who spends a lot of time, you know, looking at all the channels. But every time, you know, I look at it from time to time, just to see, actually, to learn a little bit. You know, good tips for growing your channel or whatever, and also, you know, for a bit of distraction as well. And but yeah, I mean, you notice that you know, a lot of the really nice streamers, Anna Kramling, I think, is a very good example of this. It's really very good at having a sort of nice community sense to it, you know. Oh yeah, Daniel King. Yeah. No, because Daniel's is a very nice channel as well. Absolutely, should definitely mention that one. I look at Daniel's channel a lot, actually. Whenever I see that he's covered a game that I'm interested in, I will always look at his channel because I like his explanations. Yeah, for one of my coaches when I was young, actually, learned lots of good stuff from him. I have to say. But yeah, but Anna Kramling was, you know, just there's a very nice community feel to it. You could understand that people would just like to go there and hang out for, you know, for an hour or something, and just talk about chess. Watch Anna also making horrific pineapple pizza, and you know, it's just yeah, it's a nice place to hang out, and yeah, that's something that's not quite, yeah. It's not quite something that I've got the skills for. You know, I think, you know, to really over a long period of time, you know, build up that sense of community and all of that. You know, I don't know whether that's yeah, I don't know whether that's whether you say that's more something that yeah, women, female chess players do better than male chess players. You know, it's sort of always my assumption somehow that, you know, building communities, building stuff like that, something that I think, you know, you see in life, in business, you see that women are, you know, typically always, you know, stronger at that than men. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed you know, watching it a lot, and I thought I could understand why those streams were popular, and I thought deserved it. Yeah, Pierre's daughter. So that's funny as well. So they played on the same team, I think, in one of the Olympiad or European Championships, whatever. So it's yeah. And Pierre married to Juan Bellon as well. Very strong Spanish grandmaster. Yeah, we interviewed Pia in for Chess for Life, and she was lovely. She was really lovely. So yeah, very nice interview indeed. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, very good example of why some people manage to play chess for a very long time, because simply she's in love with chess, you know, and she loves it, and also loves the people as well, which is, you know, doubly important. I think that keeps you going for even longer. But yeah, if you're in love with chess, you know, she's just in love with chess and still enjoying it, every you know, facet of it and everything. So yeah, very nice. It's very inspiring, when you talk to people older than you and they're still in love with chess. You think, oh well, wow, you know, that hopefully that can be the same for me as well. Let me have a look. Sorry, I'm like Keith. I mean, Keith is in love with chess as well, and yeah, I mean, I did wonder really, you know, because, you know, he was always playing the same openings and all that, and you sort of thought, you know, I sort of had the idea before we talked to him properly. Yeah, Chess for Life was the first time we really talked to him properly. I really talked to him properly, and I sort of thought that it was more like just routine for him, but it's not at all. He loves chess. He really does love chess, and actually, doing Chess for Life, I think that was the biggest realization that it's the people. You need love for chess, just for the game and all of that to keep on going and keep on playing well. Maybe not quite as well as you did at your very peak, but still, a good level. And Keith's achieved all sorts of things, as he's got older. And still, he's still very, very keen on stuff. Yes, brother too, exactly, Carl. What am I going to do after Queen F3? Actually, I'm wondering. I've got a few moves: Bishop E5, Knight E4, Knight A4. There's quite a lot of stuff happening around that king. D4 even to go Knight C3 feels a bit odd to weaken the light squares, but because you know what I'm aiming for, right? The reason I want to do this is just assume H5 from Ali Reza. He won't do that. I want to play this line, right? This is what I want to do. This is what I'm trying to set up. And after C takes B3, then Knight B3 checkmate. There is a slight problem that B takes C3 might be possible, but I think maybe here it's all right. I can take go Knight B3. Not 100% clear. Maybe you can block. Not sure. But God, I'm sorry. I'm getting a bit distracted. I'm looking at this line: Bishop A3, King A3, Knight C5, threatening mate. You go King A2. I go Knight A4, threatening mate. It works, Queen B7, Knight C3 check, King A1, Queen A4. Yeah, I don't know. But I would just basically say you've got to be a Bishop E5 from Jan. He did not play Rook takes C3. Well, I think that is a huge mistake. But he only played Bishop E5 after 31 seconds. So, yeah. Well, I was saying that F4 was a good move here. I don't know whether... obviously, when you see it played on the board, you sort of say, well, you're slightly less sure about yourself. But what on earth is wrong with F4 then? Jan, let's give Jan his due. He's a fairly good tactician. So, what is this? I don't understand. I've got vague ideas thinking, well, I suppose something like that could work, but I don't see anything that actually does work. First of all, Rook C3, now I just take, and I don't see any problem here. I'm attacking this guy. Yeah, it's not going to be... this is not going to be an improvement, or is it? Will you go Knight B5 in this position as well? Surely not. Maybe. Because Queen C8, King E7, Queen H8, we can do the same. Knight C3 might also be interesting, but I'm not sure. King there, Knight C2. I'm guessing... the bishop's covering G7, right? So if Bishop E6, then, yeah, you could take and there's no queen check, I suppose. But I'm still not very sure about that, to be honest. It's possible that Rook takes C3 is still an idea there. Because I was sort of thinking, well, I just go Queen B3. But you go Knight C5 and... I was sort of, but materially, I'm not going to be doing very well here, right? Oh yeah, no, I am. Sorry, I'm miscounting. Maybe you can do this. Queen B4, A5. I find it hard to believe, I really find it hard to believe. After Knight C5, could I maybe throw in a Queen B4, A5, Bishop throw in a bishop e3 maybe. I can just go bishop e3 here, surely. Because knight b3, I've got bishop b6. And d4, I just take. No, I don't think you can play rook c3. I mean, so has he played a move? He's played f4. Ali Razor has played f4. Well, Jan had better have something because otherwise he's played this move in 31 seconds or something. No, he can't have played it in 31 seconds. No, he can't, surely. I don't understand how Jan can have so little time left. The clocks mustn't be accurate. He must have spent a long time on bishop c5. f4. He's played rook takes c3. Come on. Queen c3. I don't understand. Knight b5. All right, but queen b3 now. I think he's just miscalculated. Or he's seen very deeply. I mean, I'm saying queen b3, knight c5. Ooh, actually. Well, actually, it must be said that I'm quite tempted by doing this little shimmy. I'm not quite sure whether it works, but the idea is that I go here. The idea is that the knight on b5 is loose. So that's going to make all sorts of extra little problems there. But okay, let's just stay with the old queen b3 first of all. So knight c5, I think only move. Bishop e3. 26 minutes. Okay. I mean, he is a phenomenal calculator. I mean, he's way better than he's way better than me now. Way better than I've ever been. So I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, he might well have seen something. I mean, the only thing I can think of in this position is that you might be able to play bishop f4. With the idea that obviously bishop f4 is knight b3 and bishop c5, queen c5, and black's got 2 pawns for the exchange. It feels a little bit ropey, I can tell you this, but maybe it's all right. Maybe it's all right. But it's the sort of thing where I wouldn't be amazed that the engine just points out, nice try, but losing. Because I mean, there's a lot of scary stuff with the black king like that. I wonder about queen f3 or something. Would you take the opportunity then to swap off? I was just thinking of bishop e5, rook e1, and there's not really a great spot for this bishop, and I'm sort of I'm coming along here really. d4, d4. I've got bishop d4. That's the idea. I take here. That's the point, Papageno. Oh no, sorry. Sorry, I'm going bananas. Rook d4, knight b3. Sorry. That doesn't work at all. Then I've gone bananas. Oh well, that's good. Fair enough. But still, what if I just go queen f3 here? Knight check takes fe. I mean, let me be honest. I mean, even rook here, bishop somewhere f5 feels like No. But I might be able to play FE here. Because after knight f2, there's bishop e3. I don't. Yeah. I mean, my whole fiber says bishop e5 was not the right move. But well, it feels like, in a way, moves like bishop e5 always feels like black's taking extra precautions against queen c8 takes h8. But I don't think that he needed to. And then that's gonna give you a bit of pain in other lines. But I think that Ali Reza will just go queen f3 here. Looking at it, and I just don't think that Jan has got a great deal, to be honest. I mean, obviously, I've been wrong, very badly wrong. Queen f3 is a Leela move. Ah, okay, yeah. Sorry, I was just totally hallucinating. Yeah, I don't know. It's always you're always most likely to hallucinate when you don't believe the move that the opponent has played. It's actually you're desperately trying to find something to prove it, basically, and you just end up proving stupid stuff. But yeah, queen f3 looks. I don't think this is enough for black by any means. Not at all. Rook c3 was so much better the previous move. I'm pretty sure that was on the way to drawing, basically. But hey, Kim. Yeah, you're not going to have very much time to watch the stream. I'm probably going to finish around 10 past 4, quarter past 4, I think. So it's yeah, sorry about that. I'm not advertising the stream to anyone because I just it's pretty random really when I get the time to do it, and it's just meant to be a nice little practice and a nice little chat. But yeah. Anyway, you've got a little bit of time there. Oh, big! There's some big stuff happening here because Anish has won that game. He's got level with Nordebek, and well, Vidit is absolutely tonking Abdusattorov. Well, it looks like it anyway. Maybe it's not quite as winning as it looks, but if Vidit wins that, he's going to be on 7.5 as well. And then we've got this game against between Gukesh and Pragananda, and whatever happens, well, one player will get to 7.5. Maybe one player could get to 8 points, but that's going to be incredible. Wei Yi is black against Yun Wen-yun, and well, I mean, he's got a nice position, right? I mean, black's clearly better here, so that could easily become a win, which would also give him 7.5, and then it's this game of Jan against Ali Reza that's very important. I mean, both of them have got 6, but the way that it's looking, I sort of feel that that Ali Reza is likely to win this, to be honest. Oh wow, Kim, that's brilliant news. That's it was really funny doing all that. Actually, something I've got to do as well for the upcoming Varsity match. I'll try and do another similar preview video. I was a bit nervous about it, to be honest, when I did all those preview videos, because I was wondering whether it would be taken wrong, whether people would be upset that I did them, because the point is that these guys, they're all academics. They're studying like crazy for all of their difficult subjects, and there you are, almost treating them like professionals and doing preparation, saying what they play, and all of that. And I was a bit worried that some people might not like that. It wasn't meant to be anything like that, and I tried to be very positive and not criticizing the openings and all of that. But I was suddenly I did it out of a huge burst of enthusiasm, and then you know how it is. Suddenly you just feel to think, oh my goodness, I'm not going to upset anyone, am I? But as it was, they loved it. They liked it a lot, and the RAC club where the Varsity match is held, they also liked it as well. So yeah, we'll see whether we can do something for that this year. It was a lot of work, but it was also a lot of fun as well. The funny thing was that the Cambridge team, I said, well, this is definitely what they're aiming for, and it turned out that their aims were completely the opposite. So it was hilarious in actual fact, but yeah, very nice match. So Ali Rays are thinking now, but I do feel that things are going well. Gukesh against Pragananda. Haven't looked at that one that much. What is our feeling about this? Yeah, no, but I didn't want. It's just I didn't want to upset them there because these varsity matches. There's a lot of pressure on these guys. Because most of them have been promising juniors, and then they haven't played for about 3 years whilst they've been at studying and doing A levels or whatever they do, whichever country they are. Then they come over to Oxford, Cambridge, work like lunatics, and then all of a sudden this big event comes along, black tie, lots of attention and all of that, and they're expected to play their best, and there's grandmasters in the commentary room and all of that. So I didn't want to feel that I was adding extra pressure to that, but no, everyone was lovely about it, and they actually enjoyed it a lot, and so that was pretty cool. It's yeah, no, I mean, it's you always mean the best there. I mean, I always do mean my best when I do stuff, but yeah, you can also upset people without meaning to, and that's always possible as well. And yeah, just but pretty cool. So rook d4. Yeah, I'm in 2 minds here. Yeah, that's right. So Yuan is suffering against. Let me just. She's really suffering against Wei Yi there. I think that's going to be quite difficult. Let me just have a quick look at this Paganam because we haven't looked at it very much. And to be honest, it's probably one of those games where you say, they're going to be playing loads of them for ever larger prizes in the future. So probably interesting to have a look. I mean, the engine when I came onto the game, engine was still running, and that's a few moves ago, and was saying that White had a clear advantage. It's just I've just got this weird feeling about these pieces are operating in sort of a tight space, and it's the sort of thing that can happen where you sort of say, oh, it all looks so promising, but then I ended up putting all my pieces on the king side and didn't achieve anything, and then my queen side fell apart. That's the sort of scenario that I'm fearing. With the white pieces, put it that way. Yeah, that's without any real idea about what on earth is going on here. So rook d1 to d4 played. Well, let's just be advocate of the devil and say let's just play the move b5. Protect that pawn on c4, not give anything away, and then just say to White, well, prove it. Show me what you got. So, I mean, one idea could be to play rook d1 just to protect the pawn, but maybe you'll go c3 with black, won't you? Maybe, and just open things up a bit. Could be. I mean, another idea that White has definitely got is to play bishop g3, hitting d6. That can be awkward. Although, it is defensible for black. You could play a move like knight e5 maybe, or I suppose even bishop c7. I suppose at some stage you could end up going rook h4 and knight. This feels so sort of primal and basic, really. It's yeah, knight h6 at some stage. I mean, there's quite a lot of protection on there at the moment. The queen's protecting stuff, and these guys are here, but it's yeah, I don't know. I mean, g4 g5 is also another idea that seems like it could happen as well. Let's just try g4. Let's just do that and see. I mean, it's one of those things that I sort of you have one of those lessons that you learn from playing chess, and it's not necessarily a good lesson, but it's a kind of a practical one. And I sort of decided that it was after a number of games where it happened to me that you have attacks where you can do a lot just by moving pieces around, but what can sometimes happen is that you don't quite get it right. You end up moving lots of pieces around for no concrete purpose, as it turns out, and then you just end up with a really horrible position. I always felt that any attacks that I do should involve pawns as well as pieces, because at least if I'm moving some pawns forward, I'm gaining some space, and I'm actually doing something general as well as moving pieces around. So that's why the move G4 does appeal to me as a move. Of course, moving pawns, you're also weakening yourself from time to time, but still. So let's have a look. G4. What could we do? Well, I would say let's have a look at taking a pawn somehow. And what is the best way to do it? Well, not sure. Knight takes d5. Maybe knight takes d5. What would I do there? G5, bishop d8 and g5. I mean, there is even this funny move b4 that's possible, but the problem is after takes, I think we'll go b2 and it'll get rather embarrassing. I mean, quite apart from maybe playing d takes c5 and then b2 later. So I think that's a good idea. Although it's a nice tactic to spot. Well, it feels most natural in a way to do this one. I mean, hg, knight g5, you would have thought has a certain feeling of impending doom for black, so that's not good. So what could you do? How good would this be for black? Knight e5, something like that. I don't know. I mean, again, this is incredibly primitive, but I'm a little bit nervous about it, I have to say. I mean, I suppose g8, g6 will not be the end of the world. But I'm kind of thinking just about playing knight h6 and then rook h. Oh, maybe queen g7 then. Possible. All right, let's just do one of these and just claim there's nothing wrong with our position. Might be right. Yeah, b5 has been played. It's by far the most natural move. Okay, maybe we can just do it better. We go rook d1, and if black wants to move like c3, we just say fine. Okay, and now I'll go g4. But I'm much more solid here. I mean, if you take the pawn on a3, that's fine. I'm just going g5. But yeah, that probably is more you should be looking for, I guess. Yeah, d6 is weak. It's definitely sensitive, but it's well covered by the queen on f8 at the moment, but potentially it could be quite unpleasant, I think. But I think rook cd1 is a very sensible move. We just maybe, yeah, no, I think it is. Maybe after bishop g3 first. I don't know. No, I like rook cd1, and then afterwards, yeah, no, I think g4. Why not? I mean, that feels like the plan to me, and then just let black do whatever he wants on the queen side. I mean, you can go a5. That's possible, but okay, then I go g4, and well, we're going to see who's going to be first. Yeah, not clear, but just intrigued actually. I mean, what does the engine think? Are we saying 0, 0, 0? So very, very low stockfish, but still, yeah, possible. But other lines are lower, so yeah, I don't know. I think black's definitely got to be more accurate than white here. I think Gukesh is generally going to be happier here. But just feel a bit weird with those pieces all like that, and I'm not quite sure how you're getting through. Let's have a look. Leela 59%. Okay. Yeah. I can imagine it. It's just I just feel let's have a look. So Vidit is just the clear pawn up against Abdusattorov. I mean, I think I think that was probably the best that he could get. Ali Reza against Jan. Actually, that's quite interesting. What evaluation do we get for this? I think White's just winning, frankly, would be my feeling. But okay, that's good. 2.91. Okay, that's good. Do you know? Actually, I've seen a position not dissimilar to this. This is Alpha Zero Stockfish. It's on the Game Changer channel, I think, or Silicon Road. No, I think it's on Game Changer, and it was some sort of Najdorf where black sacrifices the exchange, and look, it's got a little bit resembles this somehow, but it's got nothing. It basically Alpha Zero just consolidated Rook on the third rank, and this rook came to here, sweeping across, and then just pushed the pawns, and it was finished. And I have very much the same feeling here. I think maybe bishop f1, rook h3, just consolidate everything like that, and then just play h5 and push. Yeah, this is going to be so. Wow, the tournament's going to be exciting tomorrow. Well, let's hope that the tournament this doesn't end up being 0.6. That's probably about 65%. It's not going to make him happy, no, I don't think. It's well, kind of everything. Oh, Wei Yi definitely doing some good business against Yu Yun. That's really. Oh God, Max, don't get yourself mated here. I'm getting rather worried about knight e4. Sorry, about knight e4 and rook h8 here. To be honest, he's a pawn up, but I don't think he's remotely better. To be honest, I think only black can be better here. All these weak pawns. Oh, let's have a look. What does the engine say? Just interesting, just from time to time. Oh, he's saying, yeah, okay, black's clearly better. Oh, well, that's good, you see. GM intuition always comes through in the end. Yeah, this is nasty. I think he's going to lose, Max, unfortunately. I think that Ding's he's a really good player. He'll finish this off, I think. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. It's hard to know what goes on in China, really. You get a lot of those players, really strong ones, who just don't seem to, don't really seem to play very much in the West, and they all look really strong somehow. So it's kind of hard to know what's going on with chess. Somehow, you'd expect that they're so good at it. You'd expect they get a lot of backing in order to just take over the chess world, really, but somehow it doesn't seem to happen, but yeah, no, good, nice to see him playing. Good to see you Wenyun playing as well, and performing pretty nicely in this tournament. Really good as well. So yeah, I mean, this is a big game now. Vidit against he's just a pawn down, Nordibek, for no compensation. It's just the rest is a matter of technique, is what you would read in the books. Yeah. Yeah, I think Jan has just miscalculated completely. I think he got himself confused. I think because I think the rook takes c3 a move earlier was just, I think it was just drawing. So a matter of technique, but it's not quite as simple as that in modern chess. And that's not because people's technique has got worse. It's more because people's defensive technique has got a lot better. So these guys are just ridiculously tough all the time. So there's never any easy wins there. But in principle, you should be able to do this reasonably schematically and just improve your position gradually and all that. And it should just be, just with care and attention, you should be able to nurse this one home. But obviously, always nerves and everything, of course. So, well, I think I'm going to wind up my stream now. But thanks very much to everyone who watched and who joined in with chat and comments and all of that. Just always very, very nice indeed. Yeah, we are going to have actually a really thrilling last round. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do it because I'm out for the day. But anyway, do enjoy the tournament, and I think we thank you, Carl, and I thanks, Mr. Beads, and I do think we need to be very grateful to. Thanks, Kim. Very grateful to Vic Vacanze for putting together a tournament like this with all these young players, keen players, all of that, giving us just a beautiful spectacle like this. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, Elim. And thanks very much, everyone. And hope to see you on the channel and for future streams as well. Thanks very much.